We appreciate it. So I just wanted to let you know that we're only going to have audio for Alberto this evening because he's having technical difficulties. And as much as we would love to see him, and you look very handsome, he's wearing an indigo shirt and he's well lit, but it's more important that we hear what he has to say than be able to see him as well. So that's what's going on there. And as you know, we're here to learn about his new book, Ascension Chronicles, Freeing Humanity from Slavery Through Higher Consciousness. So I'm going to turn it over to Alexa, our moderator. She's going to tell you how we're going to handle this evening. So thank you, Alexa.
Hi, everybody. We are going to have the pleasure of learning about Alberto's book, and then we will open it up towards the end for any questions. If there's something that you don't want to have to remember, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, and then we'll bring that up at the end too. So, and if you have any other questions for me specifically, you can address that in the chat. Thank you very much. It's all you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you about my book, Ascension Chronicles, Freeing Humanity from Slavery Through Higher Consciousness. This book brought me incredible joy. In the same way, I would like to share such joy with you today. For this, let us do a mental exercise. Imagine yourself looking at the horizon. You enjoy the open sky and the beautiful scenery that nature provides. Then, suddenly, you see a herd of wild horses. At first, it appears that the group has over 15 members. Being the great cowboy, cowgirl that you are, you decide to jump onto your own horse. You're now trying to catch all the horses all by yourself. But how can you manage to track so many wild animals without any help? Well, there is a long-tested trick. Just capture the leader. Control the leading horse, the stallion, and the rest of the herd will follow. This is how wild horses have been trapped into slavery for over thousands of years. Horses are social animals, after all. Let us think about this. Is it possible that other mammals could also be trapped in the same way? From the herd's perspective, nothing has changed. Under you, the cowboy, the cowgirl, they feel to be as free as ever. The new reality falls outside of their ability to understand. Their new reality happens beyond their consciousness. So how about humans? What if humans could also be enslaved by the simple fact of controlling their leaders? Is this such an unreasonable possibility? I don't think so. After all, CIA agents are trained on this exact phenomenon. They are educated on something that has been known for over thousands of years of control. Could we then assume that people's ability to understand, that people's consciousness is also limited enough to make them blind to a slave reality? If that is the case, what do you think would happen if people's consciousness was to ascend? This is the subject of my book, An Ascension in Consciousness. To spike your interest in the book, let me read you the following quotes. These are all from The Matrix, the movie. Each quote is used to preface a chapter in the book. In a way, each quote gives a preview to what the following chapter will cover. As you listen to each quote, try to anticipate the information that will come next in each chapter. Wake up, Neo. The Matrix has you. Next. You are here because you know something. What you know, you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Next. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Next. Rest, Neo. The answers are coming. Next. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch, a prison for your mind. Next. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you're a slave, Neil. Next. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Next. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Next. Welcome to the real world. Next. Why do my eyes hurt? You have never used them before. Next. Neil, sooner or later, you are going to realize, just as I did, there is a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. Finally, Neil asks, I can't go back, can I? No, but if you could, would you really want to? You see, The Matrix is supposed to just be a movie. Clearly, the truth is out there. The problem is that the truth is compartmentalized. This is why it was paramount that I included over 40 pages of scientific reference in the book. The whole truth is kept in parts so that we cannot put it all together. In so many parts that the truth is kept beyond our consciousness, beyond our ability to understand. When faced with this reality, many people give up. They get back to being good citizens, to being good slaves. They develop apathy. They think that nothing that they do could change the world. They learn to be helpless. They become the victim. They then fall deeper into the trap. This fortifies our low consciousness. It becomes harder to know better. Unfortunately, all our religious beliefs also enforce our position as slaves. Our religion says that we have a punishing God. This God imposes all the bad things that happen to us. We are made to believe that we have no say on any of it. Again, we are made to be helpless. Helplessness and all the other such emotions are programmed into our minds and into our DNA. Consequently, people assume that the only way to liberate humanity is through armed rebellion. They think that it would take too much money to fight. I understand their view. This is the view of a limited consciousness. Still, I disagree with them. In my book, I suggest that freedom could be had by simply reaching a higher consciousness. You see, if the horses were able to understand how they were captured, If, if their consciousness was sufficiently higher, these horses would be free. The same applies to us. My book could thus become the most important source of information for your family, even if none of them can see why the book is relevant to them. This is why I selected the highest quality print available. This is why I made sure to create a robust and durable book. Not every person in your family will be immediately ready for the information. It will take additional time for most of them to be ready. For some, it may take decades. The book must at least last that long. Through the book, I walk side by side with you. We walk together towards a higher and higher consciousness. I do not lead you, nor do I follow you. It is essential that I walk next to you because it is you who must walk the path. Consciousness is not the kind of thing that we simply think about. Consciousness is not a belief system. Instead, consciousness is a resonance. It is as physical as our bodies. Consciousness is our ability to understand and process our reality. Consciousness is as much a part of us as our DNA. Our DNA is a fractal antenna that also resonates. Its vibration is real. Its resonance matches our consciousness. This means that we must walk the path to change our own life code, our DNA. Walking the path is what will raise our resonance. This is the case where practice makes perfect. This higher vibration will then result in a higher consciousness, in a higher ability to understand. For the Greeks, the term logos meant divine understanding. Logos equals consciousness. Consciousness brings us closer to God. Consciousness is therefore divine. By raising our consciousness, we are honoring who we are. And for those who doubt the workings of consciousness, let me reassure you, evidence of our low consciousness exists in the form of time. Yes, I am talking about the time that we measure with clocks and watches. Because our ability to understand is very limited, we need for our reality to be sliced into very thin portions of experience. These slices are called time. This is how our consciousness is reflected on our material experience. Time relativity affects our consciousness as much as it affects all that we call real. Too thick of time slices, and we would walk around completely confused all of our lives. Too thin of slices will make us bored. So we always perceive time in a way that perfectly matches our consciousness. As we raise our consciousness level, we will be able to process larger and larger slices of time. We will understand much more of our reality all at once. Through our higher consciousness, we will no longer be confused about the events that take place around us. Today, people are struggling to understand all what is happening in our society. This is to be expected. From the solar system to our planet, we are experiencing a collective increase in energy. The higher energy environment will increase our consciousness. This means that this is a time when larger bundles of information will come to us. Even those who are not raising their consciousness will experience thicker time slices. From geopolitics to our educational and legal systems, people struggle to comprehend. They live in a state of perpetual confusion. There has never been a time when we needed to raise our consciousness more than today. Sadly, I cannot cover everything here. Only reading the book can do that for you. So be ready. The book is jam-packed with valuable information. Thankfully, it is written in a form that is easy to read. The book goes from dark to light. It creates a clear path towards full alignment with who you are. From the bottom of my heart, I hope that you choose to explore it. I wrote it with the intention of benefiting you, your family, and the whole of humanity. The book is listed for sale at almost every single major retailer around the world. At the same time, the printer has agreed to sell directly to consumers at a substantial discount. The link to the printer's page is listed at the bottom of my webpage, albertoalejandrolopez.com, and on the globallightbridge.com site. Thank you for your time and attention. I am now ready to answer your questions.
I have a question, Alberto. So Alberto's book is Ascension Chronicles, and I don't know if it was his inspiration when he started doing Ascension Chronicles for our website, Global Light Bridge, or if it was just a prelude that he had already planned. But some of you, probably most of you don't have his book yet, but you may have listened to some, if not all, of the Ascension Chronicles on Global Light Bridge. So my question, Alberto, for the people who have had a taste of what you talked about in the videos, what more can they expect in reference to the videos that you've already produced for us?
Well, I'll make the comment that some people have the book. Maria received it. Alex has it. There's Maria's book. Thank you, Maria. Alex received it. Tomorrow we will have the meeting in with Janet's group, right? And I'm going to bring books for all the participants. So there will be about 19 books, 19 people that will get books there. That's the reason why I didn't send you, Wendy, your book yet. You know, and for some of you, because I knew that I would see you there. But for those who are a little further away and had expressed interest, you know, I had already sent it. The it almost sounds egotistical when someone talks about divine inspiration. Please understand, I don't come from there, but I make this statement only to acknowledge the fact that we are connected through source, you know, to the center of the universe, to the infinite creator, God, the name you wish to give it. When you started your website, took a little bit of time, you were getting a lot of things done, and I wanted to participate, I wanted to help. So we came up with the title Ascension Chronicles. The title came from, I always liked Martian Chronicles, okay, from Aldous Huxley. Okay, I always liked it. And I liked the name Chronicles. And what Chronicles meant to me is short stories. So I thought, this is quite practical. And since you suggested, when they say you talk about ascension, so why not Ascension Chronicles? And then all I did is draft the first one, and you have to start explaining what consciousness is, and then the next one, and then the next one, and I just was recording them and sending them to you, and you were posting them as you were converting them to video, because at first I was only creating them in audio form. But I never thought of creating 10. When I look at the 10th, I realize, oh, that's a very nice number to end with. And as I looked at them, because then we started Mind Chronicles, which, because of Ascension Chronicles, the book, I've not been able to work on that. I only posted the first one, and of course we had the Hemisync video in there, and I have other Hemisync videos, but I wanted to mention them on the second portion of the Mind Chronicles. So anyway, as I looked at the Ascension Chronicles and I reviewed them, I realized this is a book, and it's already told in the right order. I only had to change the order for 2 of the recordings that became, each recording became a chapter. So I only changed the order of a couple of them just to give it a little bit more clarity for the book. Because after all, it was already laid out from dark to light. The difference with the recordings is that there is an absence of depth, because one, the pace of the recording was not very brisk, was not very fast, and second, I only wanted to make it 30 minutes long. So there's not a lot of information that fit into each recording. So most of them just touch on the more spiritual side of things. But to me, everything we talk about in the spiritual world is connected with something very real in physics, very real in the material world. And that's something that I believe very closely to my heart. So what the book did is that it gave me an opportunity to make a very strong connection. So the recordings are much more spiritual, a little easier from that perspective. But with the book, I could do depth. And I could then connect them both. And then I could then structure in a way where I could call on a problem that we humans have, but not just call the problem, but provide a solution. So even though in my introduction right now, for some may think that the book is focused on slavery, that's not the focus. I address it throughout, but the book, it's in my mind, it is highly positive in nature, highly focused on the light. It is just the fact that I didn't want to do what some do in the in the spiritual community, where they close their eyes to the other side. They only want to see the light. But my thinking was, God created the whole thing, and God has infinite energy. And when God pays attention to something, he's not making the bad guys, let's say, be any stronger. It doesn't judge. It only observes, and it is all in balance. And in the end, what is bad for a kid, it's no longer bad for an adult. In other words, as consciousness rises, then suddenly we don't see bad as bad. It's just different. And to me, that was the beauty of the book, that it allowed me to go deeply into those kind of thoughts, because as you step through the book, through the chapters, hopefully you will get to the point where you can see how things are not necessarily as bad as they originally looked, despite the fact that we spend time calling on the real side of dark, the real side of our experience. So I think the book and the recordings were 100% divine inspiration, because they were very fluid. It was I've never done recordings like that before, and I've never done a book before, and everything just seems to be in place, almost as if it was a gift to me. And if that's the case, I love it. I'm very, very happy for it. I hope I answered your question.
You did. And as you're talking about the dark and the light, And as your consciousness rises, how they become less polarized and closer together. And now, and Alex, I know you're listening to me right now because I'm thinking of the Truth Project and I'm thinking of your waveform charts, talking to Dr. Alex Strategakis, by the way, for you guys who don't know him, first professor that I worked with. And we made the Truth Project, and he was explaining consciousness, lower consciousness being in low, long, slow loops, and higher consciousness, here's the line, you're vibrating faster and shorter so that you can see everything clearer, which means the highs and lows are closer together and integrated, which is exactly what Alberto's talking about, right?
Yes.
So, Alex, do you want to say something about this right now? I feel like it might be relevant.
I mean, God, you read my mind. Yeah, it was just for me. Let me say this: Alberto's book is a dream come true for me, and the reason is this manuscript. It has to surface in a time like this, on a personal level, because what I went through in 2002, I believe it should have been surfaced then. But I did not know Alberto at that time, and I did not know where he was in his life. But there is a strong connection between this book, which is specifically designed to alert, wake people up, and highlight the whole idea of consciousness. To me, consciousness, when I see a human being, I see a waveform, and how the waveform intersects a dotted line, which is the line of truth. And what I see there is, if you put a group of people, 10 different people together, I see different waveforms. They are not synchronized, they are out of phase, and therefore they cannot agree on things in order for them to get together and co-produce and co-create. That is my translation of consciousness in physical terms, in order to be able to move from the truth to co-creation. But the problem is, because the waveforms are so different, they're out of phase, and the amplitudes are different, we are in the subjective truth, which means we cannot agree, we disagree, we argue. That is done by design, and we have to move forward. Now, Alberto in his book makes, and I have told him that before, he talks about synchronizing, without using the term waveforms, synchronizing the individuals. There are techniques to do that. One of them is meditation, which is the fundamental instrument for bringing people together, finding their personal goals, the group to find goals they agree in order to move forward, to co-create as we move forward in the ascension process. That's my translation, because I think that way, but I think Alberto understands it very well. Mark, who's a physicist, also understands that very well. And thank you, Wendy. You really read my mind one more time.
Thanks, Alex. Now, is there anyone else who has any questions? I'm kind of taking over Alexa's job, but there's just a little spot I wanted to jump in and call Alex out. So actually, let me hand it over to Alexa.
I just want to make a comment of the book. Alberto sent me a copy about 2 weeks ago, and I've been reading it. It's a book that you really have to take your time reading it. It's not a novel, it's not a story. And some people might find it intimidating, but it's a way of living. It is a book that you have to start chapter by chapter and think about the stories. I love it because I talked to him and I said, I love that you included stories, but you included beautiful recipes for people to follow. If you are having a problem, not getting there. And one of the things that I hate from the spiritual new age world is that flow or let it go. How? How are you gonna do that if you don't know how? And if you don't have techniques that are simple, it's never going to happen. And also, you need to know that even though miracles exist, you need to take a step at a time. Start with one little thing, make one change, connect with your inner self, first of all, and then take steps, and you will free your whole united being or your consciousness, however you want to call it. But I'm also very thankful to Alberto for including me in his book. I was a heavy duty researcher in the area of genetics, and I completely flipped into, I don't want to say into the light, but the lighter side of things. When I opened my eyes and I knew that my career was not offering any solutions, but more questions than answers. And, you had people there very sick. And what answers were you going to give them? Because you could say, well, you have an inherited disease and there is no cure. Just flow, go with the flow, and just do palliative work. So I love the book. And thank you, Alberto, for sending me a copy before the opening to the public and everybody else. Because it's a great book to have. I don't want to call it a Bible, or a manual or a workbook, because it's more than that. One of the things that I'm using the book right now, a lot of you don't know my husband has cancer right now. So he's going through all of this that it's in the book and taking steps forward. And he's been feeling fine. It was scary, but once you know it's other slavery programming, then you start moving forward. So thank you very much, Alberto.
Thank you, Maria.
For those of you who don't, I just want to pop in here real quick, Alberto. I would like to identify, this is Dr. Maria Lamardo. She is a geneticist. She also has an intuitive medical healer business going on, which I would like for her to talk more about while she's here. But first, we'll get Alberto's response. Thank you.
No, I was going to say that we all learn from each other. That's the beauty of our community. And some of the people that we come across are purely spiritual. Some of them are very, very scientific. But the group, once we come together, it blends into something that creates such a beautiful reality. So for me, having met Maria is actually tremendously valuable. I didn't include her for the book just because I knew her. I included her because what she talks about is extremely important for people. And it connected very well with the story I was telling. So thank you, Maria.
Now, Dr. Lamardo is also featured on Global Light Bridge. She's one of our original contributors. I still have part of her interview that I haven't even edited and put up yet. She's amazing. And just while you're here, Maria, would you mind telling us a little bit about your business?
Well, I have a business called Breach to Healing. Because during my years of being in the medical field, and being a geneticist, it was mainly diagnosing. And my field, which I didn't understand then, why I was in the extracellular matrix part of genetics. And at that time, I was very focused in allopathy and trying to make the best for my clients. But the diseases that I was studying, most of them still till this day, they don't have a cure. And we're talking 30, 40 years ago. Hopefully AI, it's going to help somehow put all of these pieces together and see what type of proteins could be modified. One of the things I learned at that time with epidermolysis bullosa, which is a disease of the electrical field in the body, right? So, yeah. So it is a collagen, different collagen defects, but it's an electrical disease. So it's part of our consciousness. It's part of our meridians. And I didn't know what to do. What I was able to see when I had my clients in front of me is that most of them in a previous lifetime committed suicide. So I didn't know what to do with that information, right? Go to my boss and say, well, these people committed suicide and they have come to this life with a new goal to accept their body they chose and make it work. Why? I noticed that they were the most hopeful people I've ever met in my life. Very hopeful. They have this horrible disease. The chances of living more than 25 years was close to none, but they had plans. They wanted to go to college. They wanted to leave. And I was amazed by that. But at the same time, I was brokenhearted because I wanted to do more and I couldn't. So at some point, that's when I decided to separate myself from the clinical field and say, I want to help these people to heal their soul, to heal their biofield. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years. I help people that are really sick or have really weird syndromes, diseases, to connect with themselves. Some of them could be completely free, some of them no, but they chose their path. And that's what everybody has to understand.
Maria, it's all in the DNA structure, everything. And there the communications are happening through low amplitude optical signals. And that's where the horizontal alignment is. And that's where Alberto's book is so very important and links so very well with mine, with the architectural design of the inclusive innovation ecosystem that I have been working on for more than 30 years, which is a direct translation from the quantum field into the 3D Earth. And that's why I love, love, love his book. The timing is perfect, but you know, the people here in the land of the stupid, they are all asleep, billions of them. So it's just beautiful. And oh, I put a note on the chat for you, if you don't mind to respond. And I've got to have a way to communicate with you, Maria. I really like to talk to you,
Oh,
and I have a difficult time to do that.
yes. My husband's name is Eugene Shawless.
Can you put it in the
Yeah,
chat?
I'll write it. I'll write it down.
With your permission, I would like to pray for him, and I will pray for both of you.
Absolutely. We're making progress, and hopefully my knowledge and your knowledge will get rid of this in the next 2 months, because the body needs to make the new information.
Yes, yes,
So.
yes. It's all on that level. I know it. I don't have the expertise. I have the electrical side, but this is why I need to talk to you.
Yeah, everything is electrical.
All
And
of it.
that's what I learned when I was studying the extracellular matrix.
Yes, yes.
Everything is electrical.
Mhm. Yes. Eugene, okay.
Okay, Alberto, you have anything else for us at the moment?
No, I mean, just what Maria was saying is true. It's a book that is meant for you to read and perhaps put down, process, because consciousness, like I said in my introduction, it's not something that we think about. Consciousness is something that you walk and you do and you develop, because what you're doing is it's as physical as anything else. And just as it would be very difficult for us to soundly grow an inch taller, for example, well, we're in the process of changing our physical being at the resonant, at the quantic level. It's a resonance that we have to alter. The beautiful part is that when we do it, we will experience a life of miracles. Many people already do. They're already doing it without a guide. And I understand that the book may not be for many of those who are already on the path. I mentioned that in the back of the book, but it is certainly there for the family, for the other people who struggle to understand. You know, and that's the reason why I had to do it more as chronicles, right? As short stories that could be read by themselves, and then move on to the next one and the next one. So that's it.
Now, Mark Wentz was asking how he could get a signed copy. And I told him that I'll be seeing you in person tomorrow and that I would get one for him. But so can you tell us about what's happening tomorrow? And also, Mark, if you have anything that you want to say or any questions you want to ask, pop in there right now.
Well, I've got to read the book first. I can't talk intelligently about this until I read the book. I'm looking forward to reading this book. It's right up my line of study of what I'm doing right now. So I really want to, and I've got to go back. Alberto, I apologize. I am not familiar with your work, and I will now become familiar with your work. So, yeah, so I can't really ask anything yet.
Mark, tell everyone, for those of you who don't know who you are, he's also featured on Global Light Bridge. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, okay. I'm retired. I live down with my girlfriend Maureen down here in Arkansas. We live on a geologic fault line that is powerful, and it is producing for me miracles frequently. And so I moved down here because of the spiritual centers of the things I could study down here. My background is I was a neurobiologist, specialized in neurochemistry of schizophrenics, and that was fascinating work. And then worked with Linus Pauling, and he's the father of quantum chemistry, and he said, you know, chemistry's great, but you got to go into physics. And so you've got to understand the quantum aspect of it. So I spent most of my adult life engrossed in studying quantum physics at all levels. And I had the privilege to work with some of the most spectacular minds on the planet, but they were very limited. And even though quantum is at all levels, macroscopic levels, as well as down to the tiny realms, it is the simple way of saying it is it's a wave vibrational form. But what I'm getting at is, even though it is vibrational in its pure essence, they still treat it like little balls and bouncing around. They still think it acts like Newtonian physics. And so many people do, even though they should know better. And so I got frustrated working in that world because they just completely ignored what they're working on. And they made great advances in technical aspects, but the core to it all was way more profound than even some of the best minds were thinking about. And so I was very frustrated with that. And then I also taught for 37 years, mostly in high school, but sometimes in college, university level. So now that I'm retired and I live in a very spiritually enriched part of the world, our house is on a crystal bed. I see Sasquatch sometimes in the mountains, and they're here. And we've had Sasquatch experiences, and the people around us have Sasquatch experiences, and they are not apes running around in the woods. We've had UFO experiences. So I've engrossed myself in experiencing, and I'm learning, as people have known for thousands of years, that the core to it all is the mental aspect of consciousness, and it's the core to the whole thing. And of course, people in my old world of the materialist physicist did not like to think along those lines, even though people like Schrodinger and even Heisenberg would say, yeah, it's consciousness, guys, get your act together. But people, they don't know how to study that. And I understand why they don't know how to study it. Because as I'm learning more and more about the little rules of how it works, it doesn't fit into our logical realm of thinking all the time. It's very elusive and yet very powerful. And so just how everything connects through a waveform, which actually can be thought of more as a holographic informational form, is the core to it all in my limited way of thinking, and I do know it's limited. So I'm just trying to explore these realms, and I use experience as my path, as my way of trying to learn it. And so I'm looking forward to really seeing what Alberto has come up with. I'm very, very anxious to read this. So I just looked it up on Amazon. So I will, but now that you've made that offer, Indigo, I will take you up on that offer, and I appreciate that. So I'm glad you interjected, because I was just about to push the button to buy the book on Amazon. So I'm glad I didn't push that button. What?
I'm glad you didn't, because tomorrow, Janet, I hope you're on here, Janet. I want you to talk about the meeting you're having tomorrow. Alberto's going to be there with his books. So let's talk about that real quick. Can you come in and tell everyone what you're doing tomorrow?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, Dr. Maria, hello. I love you so much. You're my heart. Try to come for the holiday meeting next month. Anyway, as everybody was talking, I've known Alberto for, oh my gosh, 3 years, and he has gone through a lot, and he has, I want to say, changed his frequency so much, going in the right direction that I've seen. He's like my brother. And so when he was writing this book, I was like, of course he's writing this book. Of course he is. He put a magnet for the magnet bed on his entire family, what, in a weekend, Alberto? And I'm like, of course he's going to write a book. And then when he tells me it's like 444 pages, I'm like, of course it's 444 pages. So I'm really proud that he is that he finished it, and I'm looking forward. I'm going to try to, coordinate and network to see if we can't get it out on a channel that will give him as much exposure, because I really do feel that this is his time, even though he didn't want to, whatever and stuff. I just know that he's going to like skyrocket. I do. So the meeting tomorrow, we do have a speaker. He makes his own kombucha. His mother is an herbalist. He does sound healing meditations with and without the kombucha. He has all different flavors, but he does have one plant medicine that he grows in his backyard that is infused with all of the properties, I guess, of the plants, if you know what I'm talking about. But we're not going to be sipping that. We're not doing that. We're just going to enjoy the singing and the sound healing. It should be relaxing. And then, I know, Alberto, there's going to be a lot of questions, I'm sure, about the book, and I'll make sure that we talk about it. Now that I've heard from Alex and Maria, there is a different way of looking at consciousness, and it isn't always love and light and stuff like that. I have turned a corner on that. You have to deal with the dark nights of the souls that are coming out with this energy, to stay balanced. So anyway, I'm just so excited that Dr. Maria is here. I love you all too, but I just haven't seen her in a while. She's such a bright, and when she shares her story, she used to come to when she used to come to my meeting, it was like, oh, she's going to be here, because she started my meetings mixing science with spirituality. And I know, Wendy, it is off the wall. Like it is so beautiful. When she came, when Dr. Maria came, remember, we could feel it. I got chills all over my body now. She gave us more. She gave us the medical, but she would tell us, she would give us the inside scoop that all the other conscience people didn't get. And it was remarkable. One time she told us, when we thought everything was really going to hit the fan, beginning of last year, she's like, it's not going to be that bad, just go with the flow. And I miss that. But yeah, tomorrow should be great. Everybody fly over, come from Arkansas, from everywhere. We're starting
Janice,
at noon tomorrow, but I could tell you what it's about, but it's just magic, because it's going to morph into something else that's going to be wonderful, like it always does. And then it's going to end where, everybody just feels so beautiful and nice when, and uplifted, and I hope a higher consciousness as well when they go home, right? I already talked about that. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Did anybody have any questions about that?
no, but I wanted to share something about you now that you're here.
Oh.
Last time you presented yourself beautifully in front of all of us. I appreciate that. You said you have a gift to bring people together, and my intuition immediately jumped up into something more profound than that. You have a gift, which is one of the most rare ones. It goes far beyond bringing people together. You have the ability to connect people on the DNA level horizontally. That is the gift of the gifts. That very, very rare. Now, there are people here on the 3D Earth that they came down here with that gift. And the purpose of them being here is to be able to connect the people horizontally at the DNA structure. Maria is there. I'm glad both of you are here. I put it in the chat the day that you presented, but today I felt that I need to say it to you in person and in front of everyone. You have one of the most rare gifts there is for the humankind.
Wow. Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you. I'm gonna fall off the chair. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I love it. Whatever, like I always say, give me more. But thanks. All right, so
I would
Does
like to
anyone
extend
else
the
have any
offer.
questions?
Sorry, I would like to extend the offer to anyone who would like to get a signed copy of the book. I Mark, at the back of your book, did you see the cards? Did you see that there were 3 cards? Not Mark, Alex. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Do you mind putting it on the screen so that everybody can see the card?
Oh, hold on now.
Oh, that one there. There you go, Maria. There you go. So I didn't write the book to make money, really.
No, I know.
I wrote the book hoping that it would disperse,
Mhm.
that it would, not necessarily. I don't think that there will be promotion by any of the big famous people. I think that it will take time, and it will be more of a ground up effort. So what I ask is that once you finish the book and you have an idea of what it is, I included those cards in there, and the card says, help others find my book. And I gave you those cards so you can hand them to someone so they can then go find, go look it up and try to see if it serves them. Okay, I did that so that it wouldn't be a hard push for you. Just hint, it's like, hey, listen, this may be something that will be interesting to you. Because Global Lightbridge has the videos, they can when they go to my website, I actually connect to Global Lightbridge, and I tell people before you buy the book, you can preview the information. It's a short preview, but it can help some people. And at the same time, those who want to buy, I recommend that they buy directly from the printer. I'll tell you why. Barnes and Nobles has the book listed at, I think, $55. Amazon has it listed, I think, at 49. But if you go with the with the with a printer, it's 32 something. So it's a substantial discount because it's taking out the big retailer. I mean, and just so you know, I make $3 per book, so it's not. I priced it so that it would be as accessible as possible. Yeah, 44.98. There you go. So from there to 32 ish, that's a good enough discount. And please understand that the book has a hardcover, which makes it more durable. That's why libraries don't acquire softcover books. And it also, the sleeve, if you lose it, the book is also printed on the cover. So you have the double print. I did that with the intention of making it durable. Okay, so, and at the same time, it's not a small book. It's 6 by 9. It's a substantial book. There's a lot of information in there. So the print cost is high, but I wanted to do that because I wanted people to have the essence of the book. When I was working on the book, I was reading it and rereading it on the screen, and it was tough. Once I picked it up as an actual book and I read through it, it was so much easier, so much more fluid. It's much more inviting. So I would like for people to have access to that, especially in a world where everything is on the cloud, and any day they want, they'll disconnect us from the cloud. We'll have no access to our music or our pictures or any of that stuff. I would like for people to have this. So I'll send you a book, and I asked that you help me find others who would be interested in it. Okay. But just, if you don't have my direct contact information, I mean, when they just tell them my information, they can reach out. And then, of course, I'll need a mailing address, and I'll send it to you. Okay.
So if we have, God forbid, another Carrington event, we could all sit around reading Alberto's book. It sounds a little crazy, but if you've been paying attention, that it's not. Okay. Does anybody else? Does anybody else have any questions out of all you people that are watching here? Do you have anything that you want to say? Anything at all?
Yes. Mark, have you seen the 10 videos that Alberto has produced and they're published in the Lightbridge website. Wendy put them over there, and I have to say they're nicely done, and they were very helpful as supplemental material in terms of the book. He follows those close enough in the chapters that they're included in the book. I thought it was beautifully done, and it was very helpful to me going through the book now. I watched, because I have a personal interest in some of the videos multiple times. I made various copies because they connect very well with my work. But if you have the chance to look at the videos, it will be very helpful for you to go through the book easier.
And by the way, that's what I expect, that the book will connect with your work.
Yes.
Your work, Mark, what you're doing is very important, because you bring in the academic credentials that a lot of people in the spiritual world don't have, and you're bringing them in and connecting them with all this phenomena, the Sasquatch, all the UFO, and all this other things. And you're doing it in a way where I could never do it, because I don't have those credentials. I mean, the day I start talking to someone from the field of academia, for example, that's the first thing they want to know. How many PhDs do I have?
Oh, I have news for you on that topic. I'm for the last 10 days, I have gone to a lot of conferences, and we are talking throughout the academic world, not about degrees anymore, but we're talking about something which is called micro-credentials. And the people they were presenting, they were having the literature from the political arena that they were suggesting that the companies now, they are looking more into micro-credentials to hire people instead of the degrees. And then they're trying to sugarcoat it, saying, we're not saying the degrees are not important, but the degrees are broader. And we were looking for very specific skills that the people have, and they have badges on those micro-credentials, which is the proof that they have done it. And we're going to be hiring them on the basis of that skill, of that experience, because we don't have time to train them and we don't have the money anymore. So this is a massive change in the entire landscape, the industrial landscape of the United States. We have an immediate impact in the entire industry of academia.
Maria, what he's referring to, micro-credentials, weren't you telling me something about this? Like you had to be really specifically credentialed, and you couldn't deviate or discuss any topics outside of that credential?
In my time, yes. And you needed to go, I am an MD PhD, so, but you needed to go through postdoctoral fellowships and all of that. But we had really great students that were not interested in getting a PhD. And we lost them because the lab, the hospital just wanted people pursuing a higher degree. And there were people with incredible ideas, very savvy, wanting to work, having that spark of, I want to find the truth. I want to have a eureka moment. And, we, at that time, we were heavily controlled by insurance companies, the universities, the pharma, and
yes,
we couldn't do much, basically.
The research money is gone now because they cut off the funding. So
the NIH funding,
there's no research money for PhD students now.
Exactly.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, very interestingly.
So how do you guys feel about?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Very interestingly, in my book and subchapter for joy, I talk about the story of Ramanujan, who is one of the best mathematicians in history. This is a guy who just barely made it through high school, and he was self-taught.
Mhm.
And it all started with a antiquated math book, and from that he took on the nomenclature from it. So he started writing math without knowing how to write math, which meant that when the academic world, so the center of that was London, with Cambridge and Oxford, when they got a hold of what he was doing, they couldn't understand anything. They thought he was just a fool. And then one of them started deciphering it, and he realized he had to translate it into math the way that they wrote it. And once they realized it, this guy, they made a movie in a book about him, and they describe him as the man who knew infinites, because he had
I
this
have seen the
incredible
movie.
ability.
I have seen the movie, yes.
Yeah, he had this incredible ability to solve problems that dealt with infinite numbers and infinite series and so forth. And it really upset the academics, because these were people who had dedicated all their life to work on a problem, and they struggled to understand it. And then here comes this guy off the street, dirty, smelly, because he didn't care about anything. All he had joy with what he did. So here comes this guy, and he solves it like nothing. And it was very infuriating. But what they missed, and I describe this in the book, is that they missed the fact that they were working at it, and he was joyful at it. And by being in that state of joy is what allowed him to connect with source, with the universe. And I propose in the book that, of course, is consciousness, that once you make that leap, it doesn't really matter whether you have the degrees, or it doesn't matter. As long as you enjoy, you can have an answer for anything you want. So I'm glad that things are changing, because that's what humanity needs. We need more people who are doing it because they are enjoy and they're connected with God or source or the infinite creator.
The universe is probabilistic. It's not linear.
Yeah, I describe that too in my book. Humans
Yeah, I
are the
know.
only ones who make straight things.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark, I agree with you. By the way, I mentioned in the book that one of the problems I see with a lot of the engineering students when they're looking at quantum physics is that they insist in looking at it as physical. And if they only close their eyes and made the leap into waveforms, into resonances, it would be so much easier. For me, the benefit I had is that I learned acoustics. I don't have a degree, but I am recognized as an expert in the field by peers, by engineers throughout the industry. I worked in that industry for many years, and I was doing product development. And for me, I learned acoustics and how waves interact in such a way that I could model a room in my head. So when I learned quantum physics, it was like natural. It was easy. And then of course, staying on the resonance aspect, on the waveform aspect, I no longer had to go back to the physical, and it was so much easier to understand. So yeah, I agree with you.
I tried a little bit without pushing, with undergraduate students in engineering. And no, I was losing them. They couldn't make the leap of the waveforms into something else. They took math. They have seen the waveforms, but not in the way they're trying to explain and connect that with spirituality and the truth and things like that. They couldn't go there, and that's that. I never pushed it, but I mentioned it several times. No, they couldn't go there. No.
Well, the book may help them.
Alberto,
Yes.
when did you come to how old were you when you came to the realization that resonance and acoustics is the basis of most things, probably?
Oh, after 2012, I had the urgency to learn quantum physics. See, before that, I was an executive. I did product development. I was heavily into the material sciences, the Newtonian stuff, right? The laws of physics. right? As if God-given laws of physics. And I worked in that field for a long time, and I didn't believe in God or any other stuff, because it was unmeasurable, right? But then one day, it was like I was activated, and before I could really open up to it, I had to learn quantum physics. It was very easy for me, and once I did, guess what? After that, I started getting the downloads, and it was like what I described this in the book. One download was about maybe a second long, like just an idea. And then that unfolded into more and more and more information. And then pretty soon I realized I better write this stuff down, so I'm not going to remember it. So I just started to write, and what took a second to capture took me a week to write down. And at first, I was getting downloads on information that I was, let's say, qualified to understand, but not necessarily something that had interested me. So it kind of felt just like an idea, like a new idea, right? But then I went from that into fields that I had never had any interest in, like, for example, how does cancer happens? So from that, I developed a formula that helps me estimate the probability of any one person getting cancer, in any one person in the population. And when I tested it against different groups, for example, air personnel like flight attendants and so forth, it actually proved to be quite accurate. Then, but I had never had any interest in that. And what happened is the ideas that I had, I thought, well, there's got to be information about this. So I went to look. I became really a good friends with Google Scholar, because everything that I was getting, that I was writing down, I could go look for it and see if there was previous work. And I found that everything that I was getting, even though I had no previous knowledge of it, everything was accurate. So once I trusted it, that's when the spiritual stuff started coming in. And then that's when I got to understand from the beginning of the universe to God, and why we're here and why do we do the things we do. And so it all truly was an activation, and I describe it in the book. So for people who come from the material sciences world, and they read about where on the information about the author, and I talk about the fact that I was a good slave and I was an executive and I did my job and all this stuff. And at some point I began to wake up, and then I realized, I brought into this life a strong, Arcturian influence, and I am I come from parallel universes and stuff. I mean, that will blow people's mind for sure. But
Yes.
but that's the beauty. That's what I find beautiful, because see, nature doesn't have boxes, okay? Nature doesn't discriminate, doesn't separate one thing from the other. Nature balances everything, and I describe it as a waltz. If you see, imagine 200 years ago, this palace, and everybody's dancing to waltz, right? Everybody's on their own little story and their own little thing, but when you look at all of them moving, it's so unified and it looks like it's all together. To me, that's nature. So the fact that nature would bring in the spiritual side and the physical side and all that together, I just think it's how it's supposed to be. So anyway, that's why as you read through the book, you're gonna find all these little stories, because I think it's relevant to connect the whole thing and bring it all into a frame that other people can relate with.
This is really amazing. I love having all of you guys here and listening to you guys talk and exchange ideas. I think it's amazing. And I'm hoping that the general public, we all, starting to wake up and realize we're in ascension process. When you just listen to the non-scientific people, it just sounds a little bit too out there, and it's not helping them. So I love you all so much for coming in here and grounding it with your science and pulling everything together. I think it's going to be really helpful and make people feel grounded with all the changes that are happening inside and outside, rather than just flying around and thinking they're going crazy. It's exactly what we need. So I want to thank all of you for showing up tonight and participating, for coming in here. I hope all of you guys will come in and do some more lectures because there's great value in it. And you don't know this, but as I'm out and about in my town, you know, I am a hairstylist during the day and I do my side projects. So I'm meeting all kinds of people and they're watching. People at the supermarket are watching. My clients in the salon are watching, and they're really fascinating. And they're often just dipping a toe in, you know, but they're watching. And so you're really making a difference. And I appreciate it.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has any questions before we close out? We're a little over an hour now. Anyone? Okay. Thank you so much, Alberto. Thank you all of you guys for contributing, for showing up tonight on a Friday night. I appreciate it so much. I want to let you know that our next meeting is going to be probably on the 21st of November instead of the last day, which is the 28th, because that's Black Friday. You'll probably be with your families. And I'm hoping we'll have Terry, our hypnotist, coming back in because our platform failed at the last meeting. And I apologize for that. If you were here and I couldn't get you in, I'm so sorry. So if all is well, we'll definitely have Terry on that day. But until then, thank you again. Alberto, thank you so much. I can't wait to get my hands on your book. It's going to be amazing. Yep. I'll see you guys tomorrow and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, Alex,
Thank you.
contact me.
Yes,
you hear me?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because your contact numbers don't work anymore for me.
They don't, so I will try to connect with you from my end, and I owe you an explanation of the proof
No,
of
you
how
don't, but
those
that's
species are coming to our house because they leave signs behind. They're
Okay.
Sasquatches. Yes, very good.
Thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
Thank you.